Story 1. The night the lights went out in Georgia. It's got murder, betrayal, and a twist ending, all packed into a few minutes. Classic storytelling that hits hard and sticks with you.
Lesson from this song. It's not the smartest move in the world to use a gun to alert law enforcement while you're standing over a dead body you've just discovered.
One night, Carol Burnett opened her television variety show called Vicky on Stage and presented her with a gold record for that song. I don't know if it was scripted or not, but she seemed very surprised.
I've known about this song for 35 years and never put two and two together regarding the twist in the song. They even have a Wikipedia article about it. Fancy is another good one that tells a story. Most 90s country songs tell stories.
Story 2. If you like Pina Coladas, Escape by Rupert Holmes. If you pay attention to the whole lyrics, the story is funny.
Hey, were you going to cheat on me? I was going to cheat on you. Chuckles, let's fall in love now.
I don't understand how he didn't know she liked champagne. Did he just open bottles and drink it all by himself? Never offered her a glass?
I prefer his song Timothy by the Buoys. It's about 3 friends who got lost in a cave, and only 2 survived and emerged satiated. Poor Timothy.
Story 3. Beret S. Privateers, El Fusilado, American Pie, Tom Lehrer, Wernher von Braun.
Once the missiles go up, who cares where they come down? That's not my department, says Wernher von Braun. Chuckles.
El Fusilado is actually based on a true story too.
Story 4. I'm a big fan of Kendrick Lamar's Sing About Me. I'm Dying of Thirst, which is considered his magnum opus by some despite being released way back on his first album. Story 5. For a short tale, I've always thought Give Me 3 Steps was great. It paints quite a picture for me. Story 6. Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. It fits the current world timeline. Give it a listen.
Enema by Tool. If we're going for fitting the world timeline, learn to swim.
It originally had the line, I shouted out, "Who killed John Kennedy?" But Robert Kennedy was killed before it was recorded, so he changed the line.
Story 7. The band played Waltzing Matilda. If you don't know it, it's very Australian. I urge you to look it up. Story 8. The SpongeBob theme song. A full biography, housing situation, and employment status in 30 seconds. Story 9. Lion Eyes by the Eagles. The Pretender by Jackson Browne. Young Turks by Rod Stewart. American Pie by Don McLean. Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie. The Devil Went Down to Georgia by the Charlie Daniels Band. Spirit in the Night by Bruce Springsteen.
I can't believe I had to scroll this far down for American Pie.
Story 10. Stan by Eminem. It's basically a short psychological thriller in song form. Obsession, fame, mental health, and tragedy, all told through letters. Still hits hard years later. Story 11. The Rocky Road to Dublin. Sung by a lot of artists. It's the story of an Irish immigrant leaving home, looking for work other than farming. His rural clothing is mocked. He does odd jobs to earn money as he walks to Dublin, a walk that takes a few days to a week from where he started. He loses his belongings. He is looked down on in Dublin because of his country accent. He stows away on a ship to Liverpool. Once there, he gets into a scuffle with some racist folks making fun of him and Ireland in general. He is taking a beating because he is outnumbered, but some other Irish guys come by and help him win the brawl. He discovers they happen to be from his part of Ireland, and he finds community in his new home. It's the quintessential story of Irish immigration. The story is frequently lost in the jaunty tune. Story 12. Goodbye Earl is fantastic. It's about 2 high school besties who murder an abusive husband, wrap his corpse in a tarp, dump it in a lake, and then open a small business together. Story 13. Harper Valley PDA, the year that Clayton Delaney died, and Old Dogs, Children, and Watermelon Wine. All written and the last 2 performed by Tom T. Hall. Story 14. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman always kills me. Addiction, poverty, depression, death of the American dream. Story 15. I'll list a few less conventional picks. 2 Black Cadillacs by Carrie Underwood. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia by Reba. The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. Pawn Shop by Brandy Clark, Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson.
The Gambler. Honestly, I'm surprised how far I had to scroll before seeing this one.
Story 16. There's a whole album called The Wall, which is a story. There's also Jeff Buckley's Forget Her, that tells a really sad story that we've probably all felt to some degree.
This shit's hitting way too close to home.
Story 17. The long version of Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang has a verse about visiting a friend for dinner. It's economical in setup, drops some strong similes, and has an epilogue. Highly recommended.
Have you ever gone over to a friend's house to eat, and the food just ain't no good? I mean, the macaroni's soggy, the peas are mush, and the chicken tastes like wood. So you try to play it off like you think you can by saying that you're full. And then your friend says, "Mama, he's just being polite. He ain't finished." No, that's bull. And so your heart starts thumping, and you think of a lie, and you say that you already ate. And your friend says, "Man, there's plenty of food," so he piles some more on your plate. While the sticky food's steaming, your mind starts dreaming of the moment it's time to leave. And then you look at your plate, and your chicken starts rotting into something that looks like cheese. Until you say, "That's it. I gotta leave this place. I don't care what these people think. I'm just sitting here making myself nauseous with this ugly food that stinks." And so you bust out the door while it's still closed, still sick from the food you ate. And then you run to the store for quick relief from a bottle of Kaopectate. And then you call your friend 2 weeks later to see how he's been. And he says, "Man, I understand about the food, but brother, we're still friends." I cannot believe that I just turned on dictation and wrote that out from memory. Chuckles.
Story 18. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground came a bubbling crude. Oil that is black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, "Jed, move away from there." They said, "California is the place you ought to be." So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools, movie stars, the Beverly Hillbillies. Story 19. Those Were the Days by Mary Hopkin. Story 20. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. She starts the song hopeful. Just a girl with a plan, and someone she loves, and the belief that moving fast enough might outrun a hard life. By the end, she's her father, staying in a dead-end job, raising kids, watching her partner do exactly what she was trying to escape. Nothing dramatic happens. No big moment. She just slowly becomes the thing she was running from, and you almost miss it because Tracy Chapman delivers it so quietly. That's not a song. That's an entire life in 4 minutes. Story 21. Even though it's a hodgepodge of allegory, it's a story nonetheless. American Pie by Don McLean. Vincent is a sad story as well. Story 22. All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You by Heart. I think it was the first song where the lyrics told a story that I can remember. I was born in 1967. It made me so sad.
One of the songs that rewards you for listening to the lyrics.
Story 23. Tangled Up in Blue by Bob Dylan. Early one morning, the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she's changed at all, if her hair was still red. Her folks said our lives together sure was gonna be rough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book wasn't big enough. Story 24. Cats in the Cradle. That song hits different when you're older and you realize your kids are all grown up. Story 25. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Hurricane, also likely the only time it's been okay for a white dude to say the N-word, which is socially interesting. Tribute. Colt 45. Also, I think the story is too abstract maybe, but Impossible Soul by Sufjan Stevens tells a pretty good tale. Story 26. Carolina Drama by the Raconteurs. If you want to know the ending to the story, go and ask the milkman. Story 27. Take the Money and Run by the Steve Miller Band is the dark version of Livin' on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Story 28. Gucci Gong, Gucci Gong, Gucci Gong, Gucci Gong, Gong. Gucci Gong, Gucci Gong, Gucci Gong, Gong. Gucci Gong, Gucci gong, gong. Gucci gong. Lil Pump. Story 29. Ethel Cain's 2 albums, Preacher's Daughter and Willoughby Tucker. I Will Always Love You. Both tell interconnecting stories. Very soulful and devastating music. Story 30. I'm Going to Throw Out the Macabre O'Malley's Bar by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Story 31. Run Gill. The story of Violet, Jenny, and Screech. Song 1, Jenny's Tale. Song 2, Run Screech Run. Song 3, Screech's Tale. Song 4, Violet's Tale. He tells a beautiful yet incredibly sad story of this family. Truly, I believe everyone should listen to this guy's stuff. He's a brilliant artist who suffers from health issues, yet still makes amazing music. Story 32. Father and Son by Yusuf, also known as Cat Stevens. Same Old Lang Syne by Dan Fogelberg. Me and Paul Revere by Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers. Probably doesn't get a lot of traction because it's bluegrass. Story 33. The Killing of Georgie. But would it have happened if they didn't go out so late? Story 34. A Little Piece of Heaven by Avenged Sevenfold. The Stage by Avenged Sevenfold. The Greatest Show on Earth by Nightwish. Story 35. Detachable Penis by King Missile. Story 36. We're Going on a Bear Hunt. My grandchildren sing this song over and over, and I never get tired of it. The moral of the story: don't go on a bear hunt. Story 37. Scenes from an Italian Restaurant by Billy Joel. Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. All Too Well by Taylor Swift. Story 38. There once was a man from Bandu who lived in a canoe. He went to Venus and played with his penis, and woke up with a puddle of goo. Story 39. Not the best, but Harrison Avenue by Lil Dicky is so cute. That guy is such a good storyteller, in my opinion. He masters his flow well to do so. Story 40. High Plains Drifter by Beastie Boys. Paul Revere by Beastie Boys. Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, full album by Roger Waters. Story 41. Left My Wallet in El Segundo by A Tribe Called Quest. It's about leaving a wallet in El Segundo. Story 42. Man, a rough one, but Immortal Techniques, Dance with the Devil, has to be a top contender. Absolutely horrifying. Story 43. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck saying, "Fellas, it's too rough to feed ya." At 7 p.m., a main hatchway caved in. He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya," or pretty much any song by Stan Rogers. I'm partial to the Mary Ellen Carter. Story 44. Of all the Ask Reddit posts I've seen, this is one of the best I've come across recently. With that being said, Dance with the Devil by Immortal Technique. It's a must-listen song, but only listen to it once. Story 45. Whiskey Lullaby by Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss. Good Lord Laurie by Turnpike Troubadours. The Beaches of Cheyenne by Garth Brooks. Story 46. I love Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry because it really is up to the listener what happened. She also wrote Fancy, which was later covered by Reba McEntire. Story 47. The Mariner's Revenge is a song by the Decemberists. The Hazards of Love is an entire album that tells a story. They've got a ton of storytelling songs. Story 48. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. It's not just a song. It's a perfect, heartbreaking short film about the cycle of poverty and the exhaustion of trying to outrun your own life. Every time I hear that opening riff, I feel like I'm sitting in the passenger seat of that car. Story 49. I'm partial to the story in Love Potion No. 9. Covers a lot of ground in 2 minutes. Story 50. Some great songs are mentioned here. I'll add Jeannie C. Riley's Harper Valley PTA, a favorite when I was a kid. Story 51. Up until recently, I would have gone with any of the old favorites. Coward of the County, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, or The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. But the best one now is High Rin. The song is startlingly honest and makes the listener uncomfortable, as they feel like a voyeur watching a man work out the demons of mental illness. Story 52. She Thinks I Still Care by George Jones. It's about a guy who's heartbroken but in complete denial. Story 53. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down to the big lake they call Gitche Gumee, or Cats in the Cradle. Story 54. Memphis, Tennessee. Originally, it was sung by Chuck Berry, but it's been covered so many times that while I'm pretty sure that's the case, I'm not 100% certain his version isn't also a cover. Anyway, the song tells a very specific story if you listen to the end. Story 55. Not sure if it's a cover, but Day the Train Jumped the Tracks by Split Lip Rayfield always gives me the chills.